G'day, hi, and welcome. All right, it's that time of the week again. Got my lights on. My brother's car there. I haven't rammed into him yet, but he's got another car, so I can hit that one. Will this work? Remember last week when I said I was going to fix this problem about the bad camera angle? Well, I don't know if that's going to work or not, but all right, we'll try it. If it falls over, it falls over. I didn't lie, technically. That's sort of a fix. It's not like you're going to be able to see me very well anyway, so I just got to watch my dog. Can't run with my dog. Oh, my dog's back there. Look at Lacey. Oh, here I am going to run over my dog, which is trying to take a crap. Poor dog. All right, so what have I got going on this week? Well, a little bit of an update. You guys know I've been trying to get a gig forever and a day. It's been like, I don't know, 15, 25, 30 years or like 3 weeks or something like that. Trying to get the gig at the Cafe 1870. So I ponged out an email. I just don't know if I ponged it out in the right spot, but that was about 3, maybe 4 days ago. And, well, looks like I didn't remedy my problem too much here. And it turns out, well, I finally got an answer back, believe it or not. Coats, is there anything they can't do? I'll probably follow the top. I should better watch that I don't just roll into traffic here. Distracted driving. I know. But I'm not driving and texting, so that's okay. All right, so, yeah, the person got back to me. It's Leah. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. So I don't know if I was talking to a guy or a girl. I don't know, but they said they weren't going to be there tonight. They were going to be there next week, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm not in a rush to get the gig, but as long as I can get one going pretty soon, that would be kind of nice. Would be very nice. Reason being is because, well, you know, it'd be nice to have a gig and make a little bit of money at it, but not even just a little bit of money, just a general, want that one or that one? No, I want that one. Yeah, and, anybody out? No, not gonna. It's actually chilly tonight, so I got to put the heat on very low. But the thing is, yeah, they said, well, do you got any stuff? And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll pull something out of the hat tonight. I'm one of those people I don't like, maybe it's my Gen Xer in me or whatever, I don't like doing things via email. I find it so impersonal and informal. Even if you're talking to the person almost real time, it's just one of those things that it just doesn't resonate with me because it feels like you're just a number or something. You know, it makes you feel like, well, you're only... Yeah, I got my guitar. I just thought, did I bring my guitar with me? It wouldn't be the end of the world. They got some there, but I prefer to use my own. We'll talk about my guitar in a second. But yeah, I prefer to be face-to-face because I'm a lot more, I guess maybe it's the way I was brought up that, you know, you deal with people face-to-face, you look them in the eye when you talk to them, and you make your deals that way. It's more genuine, whereas if it's just on the internet, I mean, especially when you're trying to give them a taste of what you do. Right? And anybody that plays live knows that you're always better in the room than you are pre-recorded. You know what I mean? You're always going to sound a little bit, well, maybe not always, but a lot of times you sound a lot better than what your cell phone camera or even your GoPro is going to produce for them. And I'm one of those people that I could sell it live pretty good. Now, that say, I'm not using that as an excuse the reason why I suck is because the camera sound is bad. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it doesn't put it doesn't capture the same liveliness or the energy or the vibrations through the floor, so to speak. They don't feel the music. When they can feel the music, it's a lot better. You know what I mean? So in other words, live audition is the way to go. That's the way to go. There's just... If you could put yourself into that position, that's the position you want to be in. I'll clean my windshield here. You want to make sure that you're giving yourself the best sound, but when you have an audience in front of you, and the owners of the club or whatever see the audience reacting to you and all that stuff, that goes so much further. But it is a double-edged sword, because you could get a kind of a stale reaction from the audience too. Last week was really good, and by really good I mean I had 2 semi-sing-alongs. Now I was a little bit sloppy on one of the songs, no doubt about that. Songs that got picked for tonight, hopefully hopefully the music is like last week, where I'm not, hear somebody really mellow and then it's me, because then if it's somebody a little bit more lively, like the guys that played before me last week were lively enough that I was able to get away with something even more lively, right? So I was able to escalate the night, which I like doing, because you get more hooting and hollering, and it looks better on you. It's like, oh wow, people really love this guy. No, it's just they've had a little more time to drink, and they're warmed up to a more happier time, and you're just bringing out the happy times. That's all you're doing. You're just taking the vibe and running with it. It's kind of a bit of a cheap tactic, but it still works, right? Don't judge. You'll use it too. Looks a little too good there. But the thing is that even if it's a little bit mellow, no matter what you play, always just play it to your best ability. But last thing I want to do is a ton of ballads, right? Ballads are always women can pull it off. Women can do like 3 Sarah McLachlan songs in a row, or 3 Celine Dion songs in a row, and pull it off. Why? Because women have softer voices typically, whatever. But they can also go high energy too. Like there's one lady there. She's kind of a bit of what they call a local legend there. And she's like blues R&B, but she's pretty hyper. Like, I mean, she's got, like a little tambourine on one foot. She's got that little drum plate that she stomps her foot on. The other one, she's doing, kind of bluesy licks and stuff like that. And, she's hooting and hollering. It's really good. And they can get away with that too. Guys can get away with that a lot more. But what guys seem to not be able to get away with is like 3 ballads in a row, and then people are walking out. It's too mellow. You know what I mean? It's just too slow. You're killing the night, right? I don't know why that is. It just is. You could do like rock ballad type stuff, as long as it can invoke a sing along. You're doing okay. Last week I had a little bit of a hint of a sing along. Analyzing the footage, it wasn't bad. It was pretty good. What I got last time was I didn't give my audience enough time to sing along, though. I could have buttered them up just a little bit more, but not to overdo it. And again, you're on a time limit of about 15 minutes, right? You get 3 if you're lucky. For some reason, I'm the guy that gets 4 songs. Sound man, I don't know if he likes me or tolerates me or what it is. I don't overdo it. Okay, I'm not going to be up there like 20 minutes. 16, 18 minutes would be like pushing. I don't think I've done over. I usually try to keep it 15 minutes. Like he said to me, he goes, I don't mind you doing 4 because your songs are short. If they were like Space Hippie, Intergalactic Space Hippie a couple of weeks ago, that guy was something else. Like, it was an awesome show just the way watching the guy being so awesome in his own world. Like, you know what I mean? But however, I never want to experience it again. But it was just like, it was funny though. It was funny. Who's that sitting out there? I could have scared the crap out of him with my horn, but I didn't. I should have. I missed that opportunity. Oh well. Yeah, I'll do it next time. I literally drive around with my thumb over the horn button just in case I see somebody I know. It's like, oh, I gotta honk at somebody at least 2 or 3 times a day, or I'm upset. You know what I mean? Just the horn on this thing is so freaking awesome. That's why. I finally showed one of my buddies. Like, oh my god! He goes, that's awesome. He says, we got to drive around chicken hunting with a wild chicken hunting with it. Oh yeah. Partridge basically. Go around. see if we can take out a partridge with the horn, scare him to death. I don't know. That'd be funny. But anyway, hey, a meal's a meal, right? How you acquire it, that's as long as legal means, right? I don't know if killing a wild chicken via a Wugo horn off my SUV would be considered legal, but if it happens, it happens. I just, well, you know, he fell over. He grabbed his heart and he fell over after he heard a really nauseatingly loud sound. I don't know. I mean, I did scare a bear this week with this thing. That was last week, but yeah, it's still funny though. Like, I literally awooed a bear. Like, have you awooed a bear? No, you haven't done it. I done it. Not you, me. I'm cool. You're not. Anyway, everybody's out tonight. But anyway, back to the task at hand. So tonight, obviously, trying to put my best foot forward. But I got a little bit of a mishap thing kind of happened with the guitar tonight that I didn't want to take any chances. I've explained in previous videos, if you even watch these videos, I'm amazed that people would watch me babble for 45 minutes, an hour about a gig going to and a gig coming back. But if you do, it's always fun to have the discussion, you know, good way to waste time, why not? Sometimes I got some tips in there and stuff like that for you too. Yeah, heck's running across the road there. Oh, it's kitty cat. Get off the road, kitty cat. Get off the road. I brake for nobody. Unless they're heavier than me. But anyway. The thing is that my internal pickup on my Ibanez AEL-10, I told you the horrible story about the mishap with the guitar polish. One drop. Shorted it out for a bunch of years, and I finally got it working again. I don't know, it was time for it to work, and it's worked flawless the past 3-4 shows jam nights that I did. But today, when I was playing it, it kept kicking off. Now, it might be just a case of low battery syndrome, which I'm praying, but I didn't have any spare batteries to throw in there. So I didn't want to take any chances. I just threw in the big bad Dean Markey pass pickup in there. Means my sound's going to be crap tonight. But it is what it is. Now, there's another thing, too, and this poor guitar is in serious need of new strings. There's no doubt about that. But, like, the next time I set the strings on it, next set of strings I set on it, I'm going to basically have to reset the action. I notice at the heel the action's getting a little bit high. It's not that I can't play it up at the the 19th, 20th fret type of thing. I can do that. There's no problem there. But it's starting to get high enough where I'm starting to get a little bit sloppy up there. Acoustic guitar should play just as easy as an electric guitar, in my opinion. This idea that, acoustics don't play as easy as electric. Bending strings, yes, I understand that. Heavy acoustic nickel-wounded strings are not easy to bend. I get that. But, you don't really do a lot of string bending on an acoustic most of the time anyway. But, the blues guys do. But, if all you play is acoustic, you're going to build the finger strength to do it anyway. Oh, the fire guys out tonight? Oh, yes, they are. They're going to get a wooga. 3, 2, 1. They know it was me. They know it was me. Their fire hall, they're probably all jumping on the truck right. Oh, the fire hall thing went, it was Reg. That was Reg. With his stupid SUV going around always honking at us and stuff. Most of them, they make the gesture for me to honk anyway. I love this thing. It's awesome. But anyway, long story short, yeah, I'm at that point where the pickup in that guitar it's not reliable enough, but the action is still phenomenal on that guitar. Now, the thing about the Dean pickup, what it does, it's not so much that the pickup itself doesn't sound great. It's tinny. You've got no dynamics out of it, you know what I mean? It's basically something that amplifies it, and that's about it. It still sounds okay. It just doesn't have the warmth, it doesn't have the dynamics. It's not as even across the string. Like the E string's a little overpowering, the low E's a little overpowering, the high E's a little bit too thin. It's what you got to live with, right? But on the other hand, it'll get the job done. Will I do a gig with it? Yeah. I'm not. The guitar in tune and playing it well is more important than the quality of the tone of the guitar. And the thing that makes a guitar play well is a nice, easy action setup. If you buy an acoustic, and I've said this several times, almost any acoustic you buy, I don't care if it's a Martin, a Taylor, Attack, a Gibson, almost guaranteed you're going to have to get it set up for you. What does that mean? It means the action's probably, I can almost contest that Gibson, you're going to have the nut file down, almost guaranteed. For some reason, Gibsons always make the nut really, really high. Les Pauls are like that. Both SGs were like that. I had to take down, but Gibson, they go with the idea that if you have the money to buy our guitar, we don't know what strings you're going to put on it, so we'll set you up with 10s. Everybody uses 10s for everything, right? Whether it's 10s acoustics, 10s electrics. Usually that's the middle ground, 10s. But some people want ultralight acoustic. You can get 9-gauge ultralight acoustic strings. I'm like, really? You're kidding me? Like I remember when I was starting to play electric guitar when I was younger, it's like when someone said, oh, you want ultralight strings, I remember listening to Mick Mars there this week talking about when he walked into a music store and he said, I'm trying to play this and the strings are so heavy and I'm trying to get, I want 2 E strings just to lighten down the B string. Oh, it goes, what you want is ultralight strings. Now, he's talking about when the ultralight strings, like 9-gauge, just started coming out on the market, or even 10s. I mean, I started off on 11s, 12s, 13s, heavy stuff, because that's what was available easily. Most guys were still playing country and bluegrass, and the thicker the string, the thicker the tone, but also sometimes the muddier, depending on the guitar. If you have a mahogany guitar, a thick string might muddy it too much. Acoustics are a different thing. A big old tractor trailer coming up behind me, so let him go by. There's the horses, black horses. But anyway, long story short, it's like, okay, I remember the first time I played 9-gauge strings, it was like it felt like there was nothing under my fingers. They were so easy to play. I was clumsy as hell, because it's like you were pressing the guitar out of tune because your fingers were so used to heavy gauge strings, right? Now it's like, okay, well, if you want to play acoustic, you got to be a man. You man up and deal with the heavy gauge strings. I tend to play 10s just to kind of clean up my sound a bit. 11s are fine if you're just strumming, but if you're going to be doing a lot of picking, I find, especially the way I tend to thrash on the guitar, the thinner gauge strings tend to clean up my sound a bit. But the problem is sometimes they get a little bit too bright sounding. So the 10s are kind of a bit of a compromise for me, where I get the note pluckiness and cleanliness that I want on the acoustic, but I also get, again, it can sometimes be a little bit over bright, and the E and the B could sometimes sound a little too thin. That's just kind of the trade-off. Whereas with 11s, every string is nice and heavy and thick, but I tend to find that when you're picking each individual note, they're very nice on the 11-gauge acoustics, but I do find they also tend to, when you're thrashing around, it just sounds like muddy noise. Because I do tend to play quite fast when I start to shred on the acoustic. I do tend to, double time, triple time, whatever, almost like a flamenco-y kind of, I'm not saying it's flamenco, but that kind of a pace, like triplets and stuff like that. It gets really muddy with 11s, like almost too muddy that it doesn't sound good. So, what do you give up is what it comes down to. What do you give up? Do you give up clearer notes, or do you give up, nice heavy drive? You know what I mean? So, and the 10s do seem to do the job fairly well. Everything's a compromise. Same thing you get with electrics, but electrics is not as noticeable, I find. Electrics tend to be, because you got the pickups, tend to, unless they're really crappy pickups, they do tend to balance out the string sound. Like each string is usually roughly about the same volume regardless of the size of the string, right? But it is what it is, and because of that, what you do end up with a lot of times is that if you go with the heavier gauge strings, usually the neck over time, like on my acoustic here, it's starting to move forward. I don't really need a truss rod adjustment. The neck is even. It's starting. They bow forward over time, and the heel is getting a little bit high. I could probably do a slight truss rod adjustment, but I know it's more of a bridge adjustment that I need, not a truss rod adjustment. And I really don't like to touch the truss rod
unless I necessarily have to. If the neck is sitting there flat, bowing it back will, yes, it will give you, it will lower your action. But now you've got a bowed back fingerboard, meaning that you're not really fixing the problem the right way. Where what the real solution is leave the fingerboard as flush and level as. I mean, if you put a ruler on your fingerboard and there is no gap from one fret to the next the whole way down your fingerboard, you got a good neck on there. You know, that's like finding a really good woman. You don't mess with that. You know what I mean? You leave it. Why? Because a piece of ebony or plastic bridge or whatever is like $2. You know, you can always buy another one. You know, just buy another bridge. You know, if you go too a little bit too. Let this big guy go by. I guess the speed limit's too slow for the trucker. You speeding, buddy? You speeding? I'm like the only person on this highway that does the darn speed limit, I swear to God. But like I said, like before, once again, this guy's he's gonna be burning the midnight oil. Well, I'm off to the bar. What the hell's going on back there? People, what the hell are they doing back there? Nobody knows how to drive, I swear to God. Not whining and complaining, but I'm kind of whining and complaining, but people driving side by side in the same lane, and it's a single lane. What the hell's going on there? That's why, like, everybody has to drive like 30 feet behind your bumper, like, go around. I'm already 5 over, go around. Actually, I'm 10 over, so go around. If that's not fast enough for you, go around. There's a little 4-banger, man. Cut me some slack. It's like, the bridge is the cheap thing to do. And if you don't know how to do it, take it to your local luthier. It's not going to be that expensive. But I will tell you this: when you have a guitar that is set up so well, yes, at some point you're going to have to do a truss rod adjustment. I mean, you have a guitar that's 20 years old. Chances are that neck is going to be bowed forward quite a bit. So yeah, you're going to have to do a truss rod adjustment, but hold off the truss rod adjustment until you necessarily have to. Because again, if you have a flat fingerboard, don't mess with it. You know what I mean? Like, just don't mess with it. One thing I will give this Ibanez though is, like, what a workhorse it is. Not the best sounding guitar, but well built. Definitely well built. There's no doubt about it. A good jam night guitar. The only time it's out of tune on stage is if I accidentally detuned it myself, and sometimes it gets bunted around in the bag. The intonation isn't 100% perfect on it, but it's this is where string gauges are a bit of a compromise too. For example, 10 gauge heavy strings intonate a lot easier. It's not an absolute, so you might always get a little bit of a compromise somewhere on the neck where the intonation's just a little bit out. For me, near the nut, on this guitar, it seems like near the nut, it's a little bit more out than, say, at the 7th fret. Where at the 7th fret, it's dead on. The intonation's dead on. And then somewhere way up high, it's a little bit out again. But it's in enough that only if you're really listening for it can you hear it. That little wave. And every guitar is like that. Every guitar there's no such thing as perfect intonation on a guitar. There's always a compromise somewhere. But when it's to the point where the human ear it's not audible to the human ear, don't worry about it. This guitar is good that way, where I know there's a lot of guitars where, especially acoustics, once you get past the 5th fret, you just, like, a lot of it, you can't even pull the strings, use your fingers to pressure the strings back into tune, where, it's just like you do like a power chord or like a bar chord, and it's like every second string is out. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't put enough pressure to it to bend the string into tune. It's because the action's too high and the intonation's too high. Where this guitar, the action's low enough that I can get away with it up to like the 13th, 14th fret. You know what I mean? And when I reset the action with the new strings, I can guarantee you what's going to happen is that guitar is going to intonate even better again. I may have to take down the nut the next time too, a little bit too, which that'll be the first time for this guitar. Again, I bought this guitar 2003, 2004, 2005, whatever it was, and it's not needed anything, except for the mishap with the guitar polish, shorting out the electronics, which, again, maybe it's just my battery's dead and dying. Batteries are dying. No, it's been a reliable guitar, and I know that the next setup I do, like the last time I did a setup on it was a few years back, and it's, it's played a lot since then, so I know that what ends up happening with these guitars is, like I say, they do bow forward over time, and again, it's only a $400 guitar, so what ends up happening too is, they do tend to, over time, bow forward, but the way the Ibanez is built, like I haven't seen an acoustic require so little adjustment over such a long period of time. Like it just, the neck on it is superb for an acoustic. I mean, the frets aren't the best, they're a little, whatever, but I mean, the quality control is really good on that price level of a guitar. I mean, they're not dressed frets on it, but there's really minimal buzzing. There's nothing that guitar does that makes me go, oh, geez, I wish this was better, I wish that was better. No, it's actually, I can't knock it. The only thing I can knock is the idea of the pickup not working properly. That's it. Or maybe it's working properly and the batteries are dying. It's just I didn't have time to really mess with it today. I went through a few tunes. I really don't know what I'm going to play tonight. I'm trying to let the crowd kind of guide the what I'm going to do. There's one song that no matter which way the night goes, I can get away with, for sure. So I'll be doing that song. Then the other two, I'm debating whether I'm going to do a ballad, a power ballad, a highly dramatic ballad, or just, two kind of fun songs. And then, depending on how fun the night is, if it's hyper enough, I might be able to do a really cool, I haven't heard anybody else do it on the acoustic, and I'm like, nobody's done that on the acoustic. And yeah, it's a bit of an oldie, but it will be a crowd pleaser. I will most likely get a sing-along on that one. And if I do, it's going to be really cool. But it's one of those songs, it's kind of like the Meatloaf song. If people aren't quite there yet, and I pull it out too early, it's not that they don't enjoy the song, it's just that they can't get into it. It's like, whoa, we just heard some really soft guitar, and all of a sudden here comes this blazing, whatever it is, trying to, liven up the room a little bit too fast, you know what I mean? I know it sounds strange, but you can try to liven up the room too fast. Sometimes you lose the audience. They're like, oh, this is a little bit too hyper, and they go outside, and they leave the room, and then that looks bad on you. Not that people aren't enjoying it, but they're just not ready for the high octane stuff yet. And because they're not, what you end up with is a situation where you clear the room accidentally. But people come in back later. By the time you get to the third song and you're all hyper and everything like that, they're just starting to get hyper, and you're getting off the stage, and the next guy behind you is either going to play hyper or he's going to play mellow, his choice. And if you're really hyper and the next guy's really mellow, you're going to screw it up for him. It's like, now everybody's ready to go. Okay, hopefully the next guy's all hyper. But if he's ready to go hyper after you've gotten them in the mood, you're going to give him a good night, which is always good. That's what I always hope for. So really, I let the act before me dictate what I'm going to do, and good luck to the person behind me, whichever way it goes, And I'm sure everybody else does the same towards me too. It's like they're there to enjoy themselves and display their talents and whatever. It's not up to them to care about what my set list is going to be. You know what I mean? I'm not like that. It's like, oh, this person didn't. They played through this. Or no, just enjoy what they're doing too. But try to gear it so that you can double back on the wave that they set out. Now, mind you, if you get somebody that just puts out 3 really mellow songs in a row, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It is really hard to liven up after the vibe of the room goes more quiet, more mellow. It does tend to make it harder to do that. You can get away with it, liven it up a bit, but if you go too much, you lose the room. Just telling you from my experience, and it's not just from this place here, it's just I've noticed it over the years, that if you do that from jam nights where you get some people, like, again, you get, most of the places I've jammed were rock places, so everything was hyper, and if you brought the room down too much, you cleared the room. If you did like 2 ballads in a row, you know, it was like, okay, well, do like 1 ballad, then the next 8 songs better not be ballads, you know what I mean? Or you're never going to work there again. And that's how it works with the rock bars. These kind of more R&B bars, you're somewhere in the middle. You know, you're somewhere. I'll let this guy go by. You're somewhere, you know, semi-mellow, but you want to be lively enough, but not so lively that you're just punching over top of everybody, and you lose the crowd. So tonight, we'll see which way it goes. But last week it was really good because. It was lively almost the entire night, so that was a really good thing. You know, it was nice. It was nice. The sound man being a cross between, like, say, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Colin James. James kind of playing, you know, although he was just playing a Telecaster along with an acoustic player. They weren't as hyper as Stevie Ray Vaughan, but it was. You know, he was lively enough that people were really getting into the, you know, the electric guitar really brings a lot of energy to a room full of acoustics. You know what I mean? And that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. It was great. You know, you had the liveliness of the Telecaster and the harmonica last week. That was fantastic. It really set a really happy-go-lucky mode, right? Everybody was in like super hyper mode after that, and then the guys after that they had a bit of a drums, and they were like Neil Young type stuff, but they were making enough noise that it got people hyper, and that set the stage for me to be able to kind of do a little bit more hooting and hollering and bringing the night up. And then I did the Wanted Dead or Alive. I did drive the night down a little bit into More Than Words. I did okay with it. I could have done better. There's no doubt about that. I misfretted a few notes. But overall, I had a bit of a sing-along with it, so people were ready for that kind of stuff. And then, I forget what the first song I did. What was the first song? Oh, I did a train song, Drive By. That song was a nice, comfortable pace. That's the kind of pace I'll be doing tonight, where it's not a ballad, it's not too hyper, it's somewhere in between, and people can really just, you know, get into it, you know what I mean? Or they can just, they can just enjoy it. They don't have to get right into it. But the Wanted Dead or Alive, if I would have had, I did one more song after that, and that was the Good Rat song from Dropkick Murphys. It was too hyper. It was too hyper for the crowd. This crowd is weird. They're just not into Irish drinking songs. They're just not into Irish drinking songs. I've never seen a crowd not into Irish drinking songs. Or maybe they like it, but it's you know, they're an R&B crowd. They're not a you know, Irish drinking song crowd. You know, and I know it's not because they're sick of the Dropkick Murphy song. Nobody plays Dropkick Murphys. You know what I mean? Out of all the Irish kind of bands I've seen, very few of them ever play Dropkick Murphys. You know what I mean? Like, they might do a couple once in a while, but we're talking like Irish bands. They play like Irish Rovers, you know, like the Peelers, stuff like that, the Peels, whatever they're called there. You know, like all the traditional you know, Irish music and Scottish music and stuff like that. They'll play those things, right? So everybody's heard the songs 100 million times. No Nay Never, you know, all that, Mary Mac, all those things. They've heard these songs a gazillion times, and they're familiar with them, but they're also kind of sick of them. You know, so you got to watch out with the Irish drinking songs, because you assume they're going to go over well, but it's like, okay, yeah, but the last 50 guys that played here played Irish. songs. It's not that they don't like the songs; it's that they've overheard it. It's been overplayed in that venue. So that's something. And I'm not trashing because there's some places where that's all you can get away with is Irish drinking songs. You know what I mean? Like you play Irish drinking songs or you die. You know what I mean? But you got to test it. You got to test it. Like Patty Murphy, that one usually goes over really well, but that's also kind of one that is like, it's like the Patty Murphy song, like everybody really likes it, but they've overheard it, you know what I mean? Why? Because everybody plays that, the great big C version of it, Well, that guy's in a freaking hurry. I guess, these freaking pickup truck guys, it's like this time of night, where the hell are you heading this late at night that fast? You know what I mean? Really? Like, come on now. Think of the children. I don't know what else to say to it. The guy behind me has a headlight out. But, so we'll see how the guitar does tonight. I'm not really bringing out songs I haven't done before. Live. Might have been a while since I've done them live. So tonight should be really good. Where the past few jam nights, with the exception of a few songs, a lot of these songs I was just learning like the week or so before. So tonight's about bringing out really comfortable stuff. And although one song might be, depending on what I do, like I don't know what I'm going to do. Like this idea of just, here's 3 songs and play these 3 songs. And that's what I'm going to do tonight. I've got like 9 or 10, 12 songs. I really don't know what songs I'm going to do tonight. I have an idea of what the bass songs, what I would like to do. But like I say, if the guy ahead of me or the girl ahead of me is really mellow tonight, well, I'm going to try this song, and this song, see how that goes. If they're really lively or somewhere in between, maybe I'll try this one and this one. If they're super, super hyper, I'm doing this, and this. Why? Because like the no ballads, we're just going to rock people's faces off. Which that's what I'm kind of hoping for. I always like rocking people's faces off. I love doing ballads, but the problem with ballads is, and I've seen people do the what I call the musician ballad death, is what I call it, is where every 3rd song is a ballad. They lose the room and they don't know what happened. Well, we played everything so well. It's a weird thing because sometimes, like if your whole night is a mellow night, like a really close in, whatever, you can sometimes pull that off. But then you can't change the mode of the night at all. At all. Every song has to be, no heavier than Simon and Garfunkel. You know what I mean? Or else you lose the room. Where if you're kind of springboarding back and forth, where you do maybe you do a hyper country song. Country is something I don't really do very much of, at all, really. I don't know, I'm just not a country player. Not that I don't like country music. I do. There's a couple of country songs that are, I do like hillbilly country, but not like bluegrass hillbilly, but like, maybe Alabama meets Steve Earle meets, like that kind of, where it's not really country, you know what I mean? It's like country rock. Kind of stuff. I pull out that stuff, but I don't really like Waylon Jennings. I might throw out the odd Johnny Cash because Johnny Cash is a badass. Johnny Cash, you can make it a heavy song or a light song depending on your mood, right? There's 455 million ways to play Ghost Rider. Trust me, there is. And if you really want to liven up a room, play a heavier version of Ghost Rider. If you want to, just kind of go along with the room, lighten down the Ghost Rider. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's all kinds of stuff you can play. The thing is like the discussions we're having now, or basically what I'm babbling about now, will change when I get the whole night to myself. When I get the whole night to myself, I look at the list. This is what I'm going to play. The audience is probably going to respond to it or not. I may make a few altercations of what songs I play. I might substitute this song for that song. I have yet, in my 200 some odd 250 shows over the year. Well, I don't know what about. Maybe I'm up to 300 shows over, 20 some odd years or whatever. I don't play that often, right? But out of all those shows, I have yet to play a night where we did everything on the list without deviation. It's never happened to me. I just have not found a night where everything that I've got written down works so perfectly that I just don't need to deviate. Sometimes it's like, you know what, the crowd is getting a lot more riled up. This next song is good, but this one would be better, And I like that kind of, I like that kind of flexibility. But a lot of guys and girls don't have a lot in their repertoire to do that when they're just starting out. And I can appreciate that. So if you can't mix it up when you want, don't worry about it. You will get there. People who do originals and only originals, it's great and Dan, but you have no flexibility other than your original, right? So it's like, okay, well, if my original is mellow, it's mellow. If it's a hyper, it's hyper. You just can't substitute it with anything. That's why you see a lot of original bands, halfway through the night, they play a few crowd pleasers of something. What is a crowd pleaser? Well, it's a song that you can never take anything for granted, because you'll play 10 places in a row that are almost the same type of crowd, and then you'll get a place like this that is a completely uniquely different type of crowd I'm not used to playing for, full of musicians like that tend to be more into a different, they tend to gravitate to a different style of playing. And not good, not bad, it just is what it is. But the thing I can say is that even though these people do tend to be more into the R&B crowd or folk music, they tend to be open to just about everything. But I'm wondering if it's just that's the comfort zone of the place, that it's like, well, I know the last guy that plays here played this and everybody responded to that, so I'll play it. This is the trap we musicians find ourselves in. And you will learn this. You'll go to a jam night or a bar, it doesn't matter, and you'll see a band, you'll see somebody perform, and you'll be like, wow, that person is phenomenal. Wow. And then the next time you see them, they play the same 3 songs or same set list again and again and again and again. And it's like, they're really good, but they need to change it up. I'm lucky enough that I could book 4 nights in a row and not play the same song, playing 3 sets each night. I mean, I'd have to sit there and, weed the garden of what I'd be playing. Say, okay, I'm going to play this and not that or whatever. But I have enough in my repertoire I can get away with that. That's kind of nice to have that flexibility. Mind you, that's a lot of practicing 3 different sets, you know what I mean? But even when I practice by myself, practicing your same set list over and over again, once you get it down fairly well and you know your job, move on to new stuff. Why? Because you're going to get stagnated, and that's why I don't like playing the same songs live. I mean, sometimes you don't mind doing, okay, this one I know is really good. I talked about it last week when, you see all these really popular bands that were one-hit wonders where they know at some point in the night they have to play that one song that made them big, and everything else, that's the only thing the crowd is waiting for, is that one song. And then as soon as they play that song, half the crowd goes home. It doesn't give the rest of their music a chance. That just is what it is. That just is what it is. And you gotta feel bad for some bands that have to go through that, because they get so sick of that song. Or maybe it's 3 songs, maybe it's 2 songs, whatever. But when they have like a gazillion songs to play, they're like, okay, well, we know we have to do this one. No matter how sick of it we are, we have to do this one. We'll just put our own earplugs in so we don't have to hear it ourselves. You know what I mean? And they can play it in their sleep. But then they get the opportunity that, okay, yeah, but we can pull out this song. We haven't played this song in 25 years. Let's play this one. They could do that. And that's nice too. That's nice too. Bands just starting out that they have flash the high beams, poor guy. That they have, like I say, they have 10 songs, or 15 songs, whatever it is. That's their whole album. That's all they got. They don't have a lot to work with. So, if they do like an opening act, no problem. They can pull it off. And in short, I love doing opening act stuff too, because it's like, especially if you're getting paid as well. You don't get paid as much, sure, granted, but what you do get in return is you're only on stage for an hour, and you get to rile, like playing 10 songs in front of people is just as enjoyable as playing 30, or 36 songs, I try to keep my sets to 10 songs per set. Doesn't always work out that way. It's usually more like 12 or 15 songs that I end up doing. But I leave myself room to stretch out songs and add like a little ad-libs in there of, like instrumentals and stuff like that. But I know I can't pull it off on every song. On the jam nights, I do a little bit of an instrumental on just about every song because I can get away with it. You know what I mean? It allows me to showboat ever so slightly and show off with my playing abilities, if you want to call it showing off, or just making more noise, whichever you think I'm worthy of. It's like, this guy just makes a lot of noise leading up to a song. Okay, yeah, thrashing on the guitar, making noise leading up to a song, or instrumental. Pick one, sure. I'm okay with that. We're almost there anyway. So, but one thing I will say is that when I have the room to do that, I know that's really good. But if I did it on every single song throughout the night, I would lose the people. It was like, okay, just jump into the song, buddy. We know you can play. We know you can do that. You've razzle-dazzled us enough that you don't have to do it. You don't have to go over the top with it. And I can do that. Most people do. The biggest thing that I'm working on is not playing so darn fast live. It's weird, like when you're practicing in your room and stuff like that. You're totally conscientious of it and everything like that. And what ends up happening is that, you learn the tempo and everything like that, but when you go live, especially when you're using different equipment, PA, all that stuff, a different microphone, it sounds a little different, where the sound doesn't come back to you quite as well. I find now that I'm really starting to learn the room that I'm playing in here, and becoming more comfortable of not playing quite so hyper. Being more mindful. What gets you on a jam night is that you've got 3 songs, you got 15 minutes, and you just, okay, and you jump into it. You jump into it way too fast. And then once you set the tempo, it's very noticeable if you slow down too much. So setting the tempo is very crucial on the very first song that you play in the night. And go for precision and accuracy. It sounds weird, but trust me, you might think you're playing really slow. Chances are you're probably playing it dead on. And you won't know this until you record yourself. When you think you're going on, oh, this is a nice, comfortable thing, you play it back, it's like, holy jeez, that's fast. It's just way too fast all the time. You could slow it down. Give it more breathing room. Like, even the really fast stuff, a lot of times you play it way faster than, I don't know, I guess it's theory of relativity or something like that. You're closer to it, so it seems faster, or seems slower, or faster. All right? But it seems like what you end up doing a lot of times is you're playing at a tempo that you think is a normal, good tempo, but you end up playing fast. And what you'll find is that you end up short of breath while you're singing, which means you don't sing as well. So even if you played it a little bit slower and you sang better, people are going to probably notice the singing ability being better, more than the speed that you're playing is slower. Again, it takes a little bit of getting used to, a little bit to pull it off, but it's doable. It is definitely doable, and not only is it doable, it's preferable to an audience. What? They're open there. Oh my God. That's weird. That place is never open. I want to book a gig there too, if at some point. But first things first. But yeah, like I said, hopefully I'll be homing in on a gig, a paying gig here. That should be good. Now, where the heck am I? Is it here? No. I never could find this darn. Yeah, here we go. They got like a hidden driveway here. Too many cars. Oh my God! Packed again. Oh, I'm gonna get out of here. Park beside this guy. Well, that's good news. When it's packed, it means, usually that means, what it means is, okay, turn that off, turn that off. Usually what that means is it's going to be a busy night, which means big crowd, which means hyper. All right, so anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. So that's all my babbling for now. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know you can't really see nothing, but here I am. Got to find everything in the dark now and then head into the building and go rock people's faces off. All right, have yourselves a great night, and I will follow up of how the show goes.